everybody. Welcome to Tiny Bunny. I can't understand a goddamn thing this says. Please switch to English. Thank you. Tiny Bunny is a horror game, I believe. At the very least, a visual novel of some sort. I'm not entirely certain. I watched, Markiplier play, I don't know, 10, 15 minutes of it, and decided to stop because I wanted in on this. I wanted to play this for myself and actually be, surprised. The wind clawed at my window all night long. It wandered the fields and howled like a hungry beast. An endless song weaved from all sorts of voices, shrill, gentle, sneery, twined in the air. They were shouting and laughing, and arguing about something. Someone was running through snow, while casting long shadows that would occasionally creep close to my bed. Our house had a mind of its own, the creaky old mind of a building that had seen a lot in its day, and was seemingly trying to share its wisdom with the inhabitants. The lonely house faced the forest, and the dark green thicket gazed back with its hollow eyes, rustling, whizzing, swaying back and forth. One could come out and stand at the edge of the forest to reassure themselves there was nobody behind the crooked trees. Fuzzy silhouettes swayed in the wind couldn't possibly do any harm. Just a play of light and shadow. Just a play. I knew it was my imagination. I was already 12 after all. Still. Oh, I just saw that. It's like a fox or a raccoon. Hey, put away your book. How many times have I told you not to read at the table? It's bad for your health. Look at how slouched you are. That better? I didn't protest and put the book about Conan the Barbarian aside. I was stuck on a line I couldn't understand after reading it 3 times anyway. Olia had already finished her breakfast and was munching on some cookies. She was so enthusiastic she almost looked like a typical girl from commercials. You're not going anywhere till you finish all of it. And I was still trying to drill a hole in the plate with my eyes as if it would make the porridge disappear. Easy anxiousness welled up inside, all because of the previous sleepless night. The black forest around our house and the gloomy wind. The longer I waited, the colder the lumpy white substance became. Looked like a jellyfish from the Cousteau Odyssey. I love that show. I wonder how horrifying the bottom of the ocean is. Or how cold the black forest is at night. The spoon fell out of my hand. Mom showered me with a cold glare from her green eyes. What did I just say? I'll get it. I had 10 seconds to catch my breath before battling the nasty porridge once again. I felt around for the spoon. What's this card on the other side of the table? Karina. Huh, that's my mom's name. I guess she carved it out with some pointy thing when she was little. She was a rascal damaging the furniture like that. She would scold me for a week if I did something similar, though. Should I remind her about it? No, she's been in a bit of a bad mood lately. I imagine her being my age, sitting under this table. I wonder, was Mom afraid of the dark back then? Or the sounds coming from the attic? Or the thick forest? Hi, Grandma! I imagine my grandma coming into my little mom's room, sitting at the end of her bed, where Olia sleeps nowadays, and saying this in her soft, smooth voice. Harsha is a special place, little girl. It's watching you closely, sniffing you out, trying to discern what kind of beast you are. If you're a good sort, it won't abandon you in time of troubles. But if you're a bad apple, it'll grab you by the side and drag you under the ground. And that would be it. Grandma was caring. She never fought with anybody, never yelled, never swore. There were times without the maddening screams until late at night, without smashed dishes and mutual accusations. Our parents used to love each other back then. I remember listening in on one of their conversations by chance. They were talking about Grandma getting prepared for her own funeral. She had already bought a casket. She called it her cute funeral box. It waited for its time in the closet, patiently. It was black, upholstered with meat-colored material on the inside. I saw when my grandmother was getting buried. My house didn't change since the time she was alive. Only all the photos were gone. Glass-covered pictures with grave faces of my ancestors. They all had a dead but watchful look in their eyes. I crawled out from under the table. Leia was done with her cookies and was looking at my share like a sly woodland creature. I turned my gaze towards the frosted window. A lot of dark pines outside, but they didn't grab my attention. A pattern of frost formed a picture on the glass. Oh yeah, look, it's a fox. Where? It looked almost like those optical illusion thingies they put on the back of student notebooks. A mixture of lines at first glance, but if you blur your vision a little bit and look under a certain angle. No, not outside, on the window. Look, there's the nose, and here's... Hey, eat up! Yes, just a moment. I don't see anything. Hurry up, we don't have much time. Oh, there it is! But it still doesn't look like one. I'm telling you it does. Nuh-uh, it does. Stop it. These kids, I swear. Now I couldn't see the fox either. It disappeared. Went away. Only the frost pattern seemed to stretch out nettle leaves creeping up the glass. My dad entered the kitchen with long, measured steps. I want to have a beard like his when I grow up. I would always ask jokingly, "Come on, shave it off, it stings." So long ago. Nowadays, rumbling doors and witty comebacks were an everyday occurrence. Leia always covers her ears whenever she hears something like, "What's the point in all of this?" through the walls. "It's all for your sake," Dad would reply, "for the sake of our family." I always caught every sound in fear of hearing the most dreaded, deadliest word that started with D. D-vo. I don't even want to finish it. It was scary to imagine that me and my little sister could be torn apart and taken to two different families. Well, that's not necessarily how it would work. Anyway, your fox is nothing. I have an owl at my window. You and your owl talk again. You said you believed me just yesterday. Anyone see my car keys? You're leaving them on the windowsill. Right. Maybe you did and maybe not. You're a grown man of a father too, and still... Tornado, please stop. Let me just get ready in peace. Keys are in the basket along with the phone. Well, thank you very much. Don't stop making a martyr out of yourself and finish eating already. And the owl? There was no owl. But there was one! It had giant glowing eyes. Leia sprang from the chair and placed her hands on her face, imitating a pair of eyes, the size of an apple with each finger. Last year you had Babby in your closet, now this owl? But I saw it. He shifted her gaze back and forth from Dad to Mom to me, but couldn't find any support. Have you thought of befriending it? You know, like feeding it with imaginary mice? Don't bully our little girl. She's afraid to sleep alone because she's little. Leia pouted her lips in rebellion and rushed into the hallway. The staircase that led to the second floor creaked. Mom gave Dad a strict look. Oh, that look in her eyes. So uncomfortable to be pinned under that. Dad just snorted in reply and left, bringing with the keys he had just found. A minute had passed, and the theme song from The Little Mermaid echoed through the house. It was stored on an incredibly worn-out cassette tape, which Dad had already had to glue together once. So easy to fix objects by gluing them back together, for example. But how do you fix a relationship? Mom moved to the living room when I was alone, anxiously stealing glances out the window. Leia had trouble sleeping ever since we moved to this house. She would toss and turn or curl up into a ball under her blanket. Sometimes she would jump up in the middle of the night and turn on the VCR. Cartoons helped to take her mind off all the troubles we had with the move and our parents. And then Olia said she saw that giant flying monster outside her window. She became obsessed with it. Our parents did everything in their power. They tried every little trick to get rid of those ridiculous fears. Olia refused to sleep alone and didn't believe that the owl was just one of her nightmares. After tonight, I was unsure what to make of my sister's words, what to think of it myself. Can nightmares be infectious? Just last night, I couldn't get a wink of sleep and ended up thinking what to expect in my new school. There were a couple of days left before the beginning of a new term. My imagination drew long, twisting hallways that led to a classroom full of kids. All the students behind their desks were simply dark figures, cut out using a template. Circular holes gaped in the middle of their faces, and a pair of eyes blinked inside those holes. It was as if some completely different creatures were looking at me from behind the flat black silhouettes. Their cruel glares, filled with icy sneers, made me shiver from head to toe. Will I survive here? Won't they gang up on me and beat me down? Stomp me with their bloodied shoes? The damn school could burn for all I care. I just wish for anything to happen to it. Doesn't really matter what. I didn't want to go there that much. I didn't want to see people who were just itching to smack me on the head, trip me up, think of a new offensive name for me, worse than the previous one. I felt like the glasses I wore made me an outsider or some sort of monster. My gaze slid across the drawings hanging on the walls. I couldn't consider myself a great artist, but Oya begged me to hang them up. Drawing was the only thing that made me happy as of late. A small circle of friends I had also enjoyed my paintings, and they promised to call me from time to time. Sometimes I imagined Mom picking up the phone and saying in a cold voice, "You've got the wrong number." Or, "Anton's not around." Anton's not around. I imagined my future classmates lying in their beds just like me, listening to the howls of invisible werewolves outside their windows. Maybe my new classmates will like me after all? Who would ever like a boy with thick glasses? I mean, my dad used to wear glasses when he was little, and now he's married to the most beautiful woman on the planet, my mom. The house creaked, pressed by the wind. The condo we used to live in, a 9-floor concrete building, buzzed with the neighbor's drill, mumbled with a TV set from behind the wall, cried like a baby from the big family next door. Our current house, well, I can't really call it new, was completely different. It was silent and easy going during the day. Its shadows lay dormant in the corners, on the closet, cobwebs, and under the stairs. But they all woke up during the night. Something was watching me from every corner, almost as if the old photos of my diseased family with their ashen eyes were hanging on the walls in place of my drawings. The floor was squeaking. Rusty drains were moaning. The attic was occupied by noisy drafts. You could think the house was performing some sort of demonic melody. And then I realized I was, in fact, hearing music. It started playing for a good while. Somewhere at the edge of my perception, I could hear a flute. It was mixed in with the sound of the wind of the creaking old house and my thoughts, too. I stood up and rushed to the window. I wanted to reassure myself that this music was nothing more than a product of my imagination. Not like there's someone playing it there amidst the cold, snowy night, right? No, I don't wanna. Okay. Someone was dancing in the field. Black silhouettes I could barely make out, with the dark forest as their backdrop. They jumped around, basking in moonlight, pumping into piles of snow, rolled around and crawled on all fours. Stories about wolves playing under the moon came to mind, but these were clearly not wolves. They stood upright at times, circled around, holding hands and whipping up snow, disappearing into the shadows for a brief moment, then coming back. Something bizarre was going on. Shadows dancing in the starless abyss made my imagination go wild, making me anxious at the same time. Suddenly, the music had stopped. The dancing shadows froze in place, and I could swear pierced me with their eyes. One of the silhouettes immediately parted from the shadow carnival and sprinted across the field with giant leaps. glided on squeaky snow without leaving any prints until it was devoured by the pitch-black dark shadow of my house, which became even darker and thicker. My heart was jumping around like a bird inside a cage. I shut the curtains with a swift motion and stepped back towards the bed. They saw me. A freezing torrent of fear washed over me. I stood in the middle of a perfectly dark room and listened to some unwanted guest move and scrape around looking for an entrance. The sound moved to the right, then circled around the house. Now my guest should be at the front door. I jumped into bed and covered myself with a blanket as if it could protect me. The shackles of fear locked my muscles. I remembered the funeral, my grandma lying there, hands crossed on her chest, her facial features sharp like that of a tin doll, ants running up and down the legs of the chairs that held my grandma's casket. I imagined those little creatures climbing onto her head and pulling open up her eyelids with their tiny legs. Then her wrinkly eyeballs would once again move into their sockets and you'd be able to see her grandchildren. I was chanting the spell she taught me throughout the whole procedure. And now, lying under the blanket and listening to squeaks and howls, I was repeating the same words. On the island of Budia, underneath the blemished sun, in the sea of color blue, stands a cabin made of wood. There lay lard and ashen hair for the spawn from Devil's Lair, to feast and always leave alone God's faithful servant named Anton. Evil leave this house must. Ashes to ashes, dust to dust. Bizarre sounds had disappeared. I cautiously peeked out from under the blanket and saw curtains moving around like a hangman. And the night doused me with a new portion of boiling terror. Sound scratched at my eardrums. In reality, something or someone was scratching at the front door, clawing at wood, demanding to be let in. The door was shut. Dad had become very cautious recently, so we installed a sturdy lock. I remember staring at the forest intently, as if he was looking for someone. Ashes to ashes, dust to dust. I hugged my knees, placing my chin between them, and drilled the door with my eyes, so flimsy and weak before the might of a darkness. And then the doorknob twitched, slightly. Then turned halfway. Once, twice, as if the person who tried to enter had no hands. The doorknob tilted once more and then started clicking violently. My jaw cramped from fear. Wet fingers clutched the blanket. The door creaked and opened. The wind taunted me, moaning inside the tin drains. And now you'll see. The door was wide open. Darkness writhed inside the cavernous mouth of a doorway. Tony. It was as if the night itself was calling out to me, flapping its black wings and squeaking with rusty hinges. I was trembling and snared by the web of darkness that hung in the corners of my room, waiting for the one who weaved it to come out of the gaping black hole. Tony. My abdomen tightened. My chest rose up, ready to exhale a desperate scream. Before I was able to do anything, the darkness asked me, Tony, you asleep? My sister's pale face protruded from the thick shadows. I almost screamed from relief. Oh yeah, I'm not sleeping. Did something happen? Leah frowned and stuck out her lower lip, a clear sign that she was about to cry. It's there again, staring at me. Shoot her away, Tony, please. I'm so scared. The fear that was tormenting me just a minute ago crawled away and hid somewhere in my stomach. I needed to calm Olya down. Stay dream, silly. Don't be scared. Dreams don't bite. No one's gonna harm you. Olya sobbed. She was trying her best to believe me. But was I sure myself? I have an idea. Let's go to your room and watch the video Sleeping Beauty, for example. You like that cartoon, don't you? Why does the Sleeping Beauty have a prince and I have this scary bird? That question took me by surprise. Alright, let's watch Cinderella. My thoughts became tangled, fuzzy. What was that? I was studying with its eyes while dancing feverishly under the moon. The darkness was clinging to the window, and it couldn't be fooled by Grandma's old chants. It couldn't be satisfied with a feast of lard and long ashen hair. Tony, you coming? Yes, just a moment. is delightfully animated. I like that. That's why I didn't want to laugh at Oya and her owl in the morning. They'll be knocking on our door out here in the middle of nowhere. We don't know anyone around here. So persistent. I was extremely unsettled from just a silly thought that our morning guest could have come from the woods. I could barely hear voices coming from the front door. My mind was urging me to hide in the closet, under the table, behind the curtains where Oya always hides. Tony, come here! I felt like kettlebells were tied to my feet, still dragging them towards the hallway. A couple of policemen towered over me in the doorway. They smelled like frost and worry. My mom always winced and grumbled the moment she saw patrol cars, worse than bandits. Even though she looked somewhat confused. Hello? The senior officer who wore a grim expression nodded. Boy's gone missing yesterday. His name's Vova. Look this, please. Have you seen him? He's been held out of photograph to me. Oh, the kitty! There was a ginger boy around the age of elementary school, pictured with a wall carpet as the backdrop. He had a striped cat in his hands and wore a wide smile. No, I haven't. Are you sure? Look closely. Where would I see him? I don't know anybody around here. I barely leave the house. Have you seen him from the window? That's right, your window looks straight at the forest, don't they? The window. No, I haven't seen anything. I see. His voice was tired, but his eyes, his stare long and heavy, was full of suspicion. I squirmed unwittingly under the weight of guilt, which his giant shadow cast over me. The policeman finally tore his eyes from me and glanced over the hallway, the straightaway, and the cracks in the ceiling, which I hadn't noticed before for some reason. How do you like your new place, by the way? Getting used to it? Bit by bit. It's just our little daughter misses the city a lot. Misses the city, huh? Have the locals been treating you well? Yes, everything is all right, thank you. The policeman pierced through me one more time with his gray eyes. My head started spinning. Can I help you somehow? I asked that in a shaky voice to look like a polite boy and to end this unpleasant conversation sooner. Now that I think about it, just like one of my nephews, little fella. Pretty boy around your age wears the same type of goggles. Always engrossed in reading those mystery novels. Told me he wants to enroll in police school when his family visited us this summer. To help other people just like me, see? Uncomfortable. As if a distant relative and not a police officer stood before me. You know what? Little boys like you should stay home and steer away from trouble. Times have changed so much. Mom interjected in a cold voice. You don't say. Well then. What grade are you in, Tony boy? 6th. Made any friends here so far? Not yet. I'll be in school for the first time after the break. Now leave my number just in case. Call me if you have any new info. Policemen were gone with their shadows, the smell of cheap cologne, and a photo of a smiling boy. His face still stood before my eyes. I thought about what he felt being all alone right now, there. For some reason I imagined the forest swaying in the wind. What did his poor parents feel? What would my parents do if I'd gone missing? Would they cry and thrash around hysterically? Or would they accuse each other like they always do and eventually forget about me? Mom, this Vova, did he go missing in our forest? Seems like it, poor child. I looked out the window at the road. The police UAZ drove off towards the village. The officer's nephew came to mind while I was spitting off paint from the windowsill. I remembered all the teenage mystery novels from the Black Kitty series I've read this summer. Your average boys and girls investigating all sorts of mysteries there. They look for clues, spied on suspicious people. And after a set of amazing adventures, bam, solved any complicated case. Became local celebrities and must have made their parents real proud. I noticed a trail of policemen's footprints that led to the forest. Then it clicked in my head. Why don't I start my own investigation? Maybe I'll find that lost boy. I'll get my reward. Oya will be so happy. Not only Oya, Mom and Dad too. Maybe they'll even forget about their quarrels for a while. Maybe I'll even save us from the D word. Fantasized about buying Olma a Tamagotchi and getting a cassette player and a bunch of tapes for myself. A whole bunch of Kinder Surprises. It was the last time our parents bought us any toys. Last autumn, I think. My dad had lost his job at the time. There's an annoying song about it. I had little to no idea what was the accountant's job like. They counted money. Neighbors used to envy us. Nowadays, Mom and Dad barely had any money to afford sweets, and Dad would always divide a single chocolate bar between me and Olya. Sometimes I gave her my share, too. No matter how much I wanted to eat sweets, she was still just a pipsqueak. I couldn't wait to go out looking for clues. Going outside! Yeah, right. You want the police to go around with your photograph next? The forest is so thick. What if the boy got snatched up by wild animals, or something even worse? Even worse echoed through the hallway. I won't go far. I'll stay away from the forest. Did you hear what I said? Or should I repeat myself? Better pack your school bag up or go play with Olya. Sound of splashing water came from the kitchen. It meant that the argument was over, and Mom had the last word. Choices to make now. What's this? A dark, stuffy closet. Mom says it smells like mice, but how does she know their smell? She hates when I stick my nose in there. She's afraid I'll cut myself on the freshly sharpened axe. I know you can't even be lured close to it. She thinks Babai is living there. I tried to help her fight her fears once. I opened the door and turned on a dim lamp so she could see there was nothing but cobwebs, Dad's tools, and scratched walls. She still didn't believe me. I like to hide in the closet and listen to Olya count outside. 1, 2, 3. Better hide from me. Then drag her feet on the creaky floorboards, hoping that she wouldn't need to look for me in the cramped monster's den. You're a peach. Cross had seen so many people come and go in the house. It was black, as if it absorbed all human sin from the long years it was hanging on the under the ceiling. After Grandma died, Mom was going to take it off and hang a horseshoe on its place as a lucky charm, but she cut herself with the cross sharp corner and almost fell off the stepladder. Dad called a sign from above and ordered the cross be left alone in its rightful place. Mom's peg top, a family relic. Mom played with it when she was little, then gifted it to me. Olya was next in line of succession. The toy belonged to her now. She stared at the dancing spindle as if it would show her something. A fairy tale, or maybe even our future. Now even my sister was a little bit too old for the squeaky peg top. My parents prohibited me from making long-distance phone calls, but from time to time I really wanted to hear my old friends. Sometimes I would pick up the phone and listen to the low hum of the zoomer and the distant crackling, imagining the howling ice and the wind howling in their ice-leaden chords. You're a cheery fellow, aren't you, Tony? I think we'll call it a video here. I'm the Blue 32. This is Tiny Bunny. TTFN, ta-ta for now.